Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird and welcome back to Lake of Voices. So I just went back and, recreated the save files that I saved over because, I ran out of save files. So with that being said, let's, do it.
I know you don't want anything to happen to anyone else. That is admirable.
We can skip all this. Margaret and I will come. Right. Yes.
Of course you both would come.
He's smiling, but I can see the truth in his eyes. He's disappointed. Aww. He just wanted to be alone with me. Oh, sad.
The shore is unsafe for anyone. It isn't because I do not trust you.
Thanks.
Lou does not look any better over the reassurance. He avoids eye contact while continuing to have something of a pout on his face. Perhaps the true issue is that I included Margaret rather than offering to go alone. I can appreciate how he feels, but we cannot afford to underestimate the risks of this island regardless. Still, his interest in me causes a secretive smile to play across my lips. Ooh, we're gonna get laid? Lou returns my unexpected smile wholeheartedly, if not a little self-consciously.
Let's find her then.
Okay. The smile fades. That confirms my suspicion. Still, with that settled, the two of us promptly head into the woods, back to where Margaret was sitting. She seems rather dumbfounded to see us again, eyes flicking halfway between both of us without actually examining either of us. Lou lifts his hand up to his hip level, then holds it there, faltering. I approach her amicably as Lou stands back, still somewhat awkward.
Has something happened?
No.
We were looking for you, but it doesn't matter anymore. I changed my mind.
Aww.
I see.
Aww. I turn towards Lou. I turned towards Lou, a bit confused myself. I'm glad he decided not to do something dangerous, but I did not expect this to be such a problem for him. I feel obligated to fill the empty space left by Lou, ending our plan.
We could walk around the island together. I know there's not much point, but it would be a way to spend time and clear our minds.
That's not how you spell away, but okay. At least in this context. Lou looks pleasantly surprised by my suggestion.
Oh, I can agree to that.
Oh yeah, cool.
Margaret?
This is peculiar, honestly. Are you certain nothing happened?
Yes. We were simply hoping to find a way to remain active.
Only then do I realize that wandering around the woods would not seem relaxing to someone who cannot see properly. I feel a touch of embarrassment enter into my consciousness.
Then again, perhaps resting would be better.
I still want to go.
Well, I'm about finished with sitting in the dirt. A short walk could be a good chance to get my thoughts properly arranged.
The corners of my lips twitch up.
All right then. We can do that.
Hooray. Margaret and Lou both smile back at me. Hooray. We make our way to the edge of the forest where the trees are thinner. Lou strides with a light-hearted ease that is entirely new and uplifting to me. Perhaps he is pleased to be out of the forest. He is content to enjoy himself silently. Okay.
So,
Sofa me radio. Sofa what shit. Margaret, on the other hand, seems to want to start a conversation, but doesn't know what exactly what to say. God, and I can't apparently talk. That's my boyfriend entirely. I say something to him, he's just like, I'm salty today. Normally I would ask if everyone is well, but that was already discussed earlier. It would be very peculiar to mention it again, which leaves me with no topics to draw upon. Alas, Margaret comes to a decision.
you know, Lou, your hair is just striking. I've rarely seen a color quite like it.
I like how they spell her name wrong. Look. Look, hold on, wait. Hey, go down. All right. I've just, ugh. Margaret. See, that's, let's see. Margaret. How many times has it been different like this? Margaret. 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 They keep spelling your name wrong. What the fuck? Why? Why is it so inconsistent? Anyways, sorry. I had to look at that.
Really?
His steps become an uneven shuffle as he stares at the ground. He rubs his arm a bit too forcefully. Margaret can tell immediately that she chose the wrong subject. She attempts to salvage the situation with some encouragement.
That was intended as a compliment. Unusual doesn't necessarily mean bad. It's merely curious.
That weird smile, though. Despite her efforts, Lou takes the worst out of her comment. He seems to believe that if something is directed towards him, it must be a veiled insult.
I don't know what to tell you. It just ended up this way. I'd say you should ask my parents about it, but that's not possible.
I frown gravely at the obvious implication. Margaret notices as well and doesn't ask further, letting that conversation end in failure. Rest in peace. I watch Lou's expression turn wistful. Suddenly he laughs in that self-deprecating way that irks me when I hear it.
I guess my hair is the perfect color for someone like me. I've always been an outsider even where I was born. There's only been one person I could feel close to, and that was... Well, never mind.
Me? Or the guide? Lou's flustered avoidance of his own statement doesn't escape Margaret's notice. Look at that evil smile of hers. Holy shit, I'm scared. That's like her rape face or something. Like, that is a face you make when you're about to rape someone, or kill someone, or be yandere on someone. I don't know. Something's wrong with me today.
Oh, I wish you all the best with that.
Ooh. Margaret grins in a teasing way, and although Lou sighs, his mood has still improved from just a moment earlier. He feels confident enough to look my way again. His eyes meet mine. I smile and he shyly reciprocates. For a brief moment, achievement unlocked, company. For a brief moment, all of the troublesome circumstances seem to float away from my mind. I wish it could go on for longer, but it's only a while later that I have to speak up.
We really should rest before nightfall.
Both my companions nod in agreement. We return to the place. The guide asks us to wait for him and get as comfortable as we can. Okay. Lou sits beside me, so close that his arm brushes mine. I feel comfort seep in via the cracks of my armor, physical and mental, all from his subdued presence. The three of us quietly wait for the guide's arrival, occasionally chatting with one another as we rest. The sky turns orange as sunset comes upon us. Oh, shit, okay. Alright. As the color seems to drain from the world, being consumed by the fog, the guide makes his appearance. I can just skip this. Duh. God, I'm stupid. I'm supposed to watch. I can't act rashly here. The guide has managed through every situation we've been through, as well as countless others we did not bear witness to. I resolve to continue with what we've planned and keep my position. Without flinching, the guide keeps hold of our position on the waterline. I periodically switch between watching him, the others, and the rest of the shore. As I scan the forest, there's a stinging groan. Was that the guide? It can't be! Oh no! I stand rigid in shock, a painful prickling sensation going down my back before whipping around to face the truth. He's crouched low on the ground, staring forcefully at a group of Nixie head-on. There is a whole other group of monsters rapidly crawling back into the water.
Hey!
Hey! I step forward with a shout, but he puts out one hand to halt me. I do not go further. I and those creatures motionlessly watch for what he will do. His fingers curl tightly around the upper half of his staff. With great effort, he begins to rise to his unstable feet. The moment he is fully upright, the guide aggressively swings his lantern at the encroaching Nixie. He catches them completely off guard, and they scatter to rejoin the rest in the black depths. The guide crumples back into the sand unceremoniously. I can hear his ragged breaths as he regains his composure. He tugs at one side of his cloak, bringing it closer around himself. It covers up a dark, growing stain creeping through his right pant leg. Even while collapsed, he seems compelled to hide his fragility. Is that admirable or saddening? I do not know anymore. The guide roughly pulls himself back onto his feet and forces himself to remain standing. The rest of us must remain strong as well, as if we are to survive this night. Gripping my lantern, I watch over everything and everyone in sight vigilantly. ... Okay. I'm gonna skip. And now we're gonna save here. Right here. Yes. I'm gonna save that right over there. Now we're going to skip. Almost as soon as he finishes his statement, he stumbles, nearly falling back down. His hand slipped down the shaft of his staff as he sinks to the ground. He gasps under his breath.
Are you alright? Is there anything we can do? I don't have much, but I could still clean and wrap it.
I take a few hurried steps closer. I reach my hands out towards him, which he curls away from like a barn cat. He turns his gaze up to me and shakes his head.
I tended to it myself when you were still on the shore.
Moments tick by as I stare at him, growing ever more nervous. As horrible as his injury is, the larger situation at play is dire for all. It is a weight bearing down on each of us, threatening to bring the entire group to its knees rather than our only lead. Than only our lead. Fuck. We can't stay here.
Are you able to walk?
He eyes his feet with gritted teeth and clenches his staff tighter.
Not like this.
You want me to carry you? A beat of quiet passes before he continues, his voice slightly ragged.
I have a way. It will be enough to get to the other side.
Shaking, he removes a hand from his staff and reaches into his cloak, searching for something. I have little other choice but to watch as he searches his pockets. The panic that we thought was past starts creeping back in. He retrieves a small vial with a viscous liquid inside, swishing it slightly as he holds it up. I peer at it curiously.
Drinking this will numb the pain. I'll be able to ignore that my leg is injured for the time being.
No. I analyze the vial hesitantly. I'm pensive as I mull over the possible other effects it could have. Something that potent would be a miracle drug if there were no downsides along with the positives.
Is that safe? It must cause drowsiness or have some kind of impact on you. Not to mention, pushing your leg so hard when it's in that state could permanently ruin it.
He regards me as his lip twists partway into a snarl.
My leg isn't broken. It will heal without issue once I'm able to treat it. In order for that to happen, however, I need to live.
I flinch slightly. He wouldn't usually snap at such a question. The pain must be truly getting to him.
That is good. I'm still not clear on what the side effects are. We must be prepared for whatever may come.
It can slow reflexes and cloud the mind.
I look at him nervously. I'm not all that comfortable with the sound of that. Margaret quietly gasps, bringing a hand to her mouth. Lou gazes on with an empty expression on his face. The guide heaves another sigh, though the pain in it makes it sound more akin to a groan. He is still impatient with the group's delays as the time marches on.
I will only be taking half a dose. It won't ease all of the pain. However, it will reduce the odds that I will be notably impacted by any adverse effects.
I know how you feel about others coming close to you, but is that truly the best solution to a situation like this? You need to be clear-headed here.
Margaret looks at the bottle and then at him skeptically.
I can't walk without it.
One of us could help support you. Even if you worry over another person being nearby, putting up with that seems more reasonable than losing sense of what's going on around you.
He doesn't look at Margaret at all as he pries off the cork top of the vial and downs a portion of the contents. Margaret can't suppress the surprised cough that escapes her mouth.
We were still discussing this!
The guide continues to not acknowledge her at all. Margaret silently fumes to herself over the ordeal. Lou looks down at the bridge quietly, still almost entirely uninvolved in the events involving him. The guide softly rests his forehead against the side of his staff. His eyes droop slightly as he relaxes his muscles briefly. He waits patiently for the medicine to kick in, forcing the rest of us to do the same. After a brief pocket of time, the guide's labored breathing steadies, and he slowly pulls himself up onto his feet and his staff as leverage. Despite stumbling slightly and trying to get up, the spike in energy he receives from the medicine is noticeable. Finally, he addresses Margaret's point.
The odds of making a mistake with my reflexes dulled is far lower than the odds of something going wrong with one person holding up another who can't even stand on their own. If the bridges start to sink, if we're attacked, if one simply misplaces their footing and slips, both people will likely go down together and never get back up.
Good point.
And as I've stated, we've lost a great deal of time. No one could carry my weight without being slowed down. Now we must begin the journey again if we wish to reach the other side.
He states this firmly before turning his back to the group and walking away. Margaret purses her lips tightly and looks at the guide's retreating form rather unpleasantly. Still, she makes no further attempt to argue. It's already been decided. We can do nothing but follow. I can still see him limping. I cannot deny that is worrying. He's already taken half the medicine. Would taking enough to properly walk be so much of a risk? I don't fucking know. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna end this episode here. My voice is getting dry. I mean, not my voice, my throat, and you know. Anyways, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Lake of Voices and would like to see more of this game, then leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!